Hi everyone, so now we are going to go over some important definitions. So first of all, we're going to talk about pitch. So pitch is the frequency of the sounds produced, and that depends on how fast the vibrations are and how close together the sound waves are. So when you make a sound, like for instance, if you hit a drum head, it'll make a sound wave and they'll travel through the air and it'll look like this. And it goes all the way over, yes, we got an example. Bam! So see, that sound travels through and then it goes to your ear. Bam. Your ear, we're just gonna label that. And there are different parts to sound waves. So up here we have the crest, and then we have the trough, and then this distance in the middle is the wave. And so the lower the pitch, the farther the wavelengths will be. It'll be far away like that. Could we have an example of a lower pitch?
Sure. This is a low octave C.
Yeah, so it'll have farther spaced out sound waves. And then if we have a higher pitch, it'll be much closer together like this.
Right, so if we were looking for something kind of like this would be kind of in the middle.
Yep.
And then really tight together.
Yep. So different types of sound waves produce different types of pitches. So just to recap, the closer together the wavelengths are in a sound wave, the higher the pitch will be, the farther spaced out, the lower it will sound to our ears. Next up, we'll be talking about range. And range is the distance between the lowest and the highest pitch that is able to sound, whether it be from an instrument or a voice. It doesn't matter. The range is the lowest note to the highest note. So on flute, just as an example, the lowest note is a C here, middle C, and then it goes all the way up to a high C, and you have a lot of ledger lines. So that would be the range of a flute.
And so for something in the bass clef, because flute is in treble clef, like my instrument, euphonium, our range would go from, now we're talking in terms of the bass clef here. So the lowest note on euphonium would be the low B flat, right? And then up in the higher range, I'm just gonna give you my personal range because I know you can play higher, but what's comfortable for me.
The forbidden notes.
C. Okay, so C, E, G is the C, right? And this would be kind of up here in the treble clef range, but obviously we know we're not drawing that. But
yeah,
with all these ledger lines,
third line space in
exactly.
the treble clef. The
Yep.
C of face. There we go.
The C of face. So this would be the range for a euphonium. And you know, vocalists, they have probably a much wider range.
Awesome. And it's a great segue into register. So register is like the classification of how high or low a pitch set is. This can be like looked at in the context of like a group of pitches or like among instrument groups. So flute would have a higher register than euphonium because the pitches that it has the ability to play is much higher. And euphonium would have a lower register from flute for the same reasons. Its pitch abilities are set lower than what the flute can do. Next, we're gonna talk about octaves. So, when we're looking at the staff, you'll notice that you run into some of the same letters again. And for example, there's an E on the bottom line, and then there's an E on the top space in treble clef. And that right there is an octave. And it's easy to remember because if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get an octave. Oct as in 8, like octopus. They have 8 arms. So,
or in Latin, octo is 8.
yeah, octo means 8, Latin roots. And so, there are octaves within scales and other parts of music, but oftentimes in your part, a composer will choose not to write it in the register that they want it played. So they'll use an octave symbol to indicate how you're supposed to adjust to it. And there's 2 options for that. There's a 8VA and a 8VB. And so these mean the octave above for 8VA, and we have the A to remind us that it's above. So if this was marked in your music and you had an 8VA above it, you would play this note because you're just taking that note, same pitch, but just putting it one octave higher. And then for 8VB, it means the octave below. Got that B to remind us. And same deal, if you were playing an A on the top line of bass clef and you had that 8VB, you would just play the A in the bottom space here. That's what would be sounding to the ear, even though this is what it looks like notated on paper. And so octaves, it's the same pitch, but it's just appearing in a higher or lower register. So it has the same basic sound, except the wavelengths will be lower or farther apart or closer together, making it sound higher or lower. Could we have an example of some octaves sounding?
So these 2 pitches are the same note. They're obviously, one wavelength is a lot wider and the other wavelength will be a lot higher. So this is a C, very low note, yes. And then if we were to play this C, it's the same note, just significantly higher, which means that the wavelengths are a lot tighter.
Yep, so it'd just be the same note, same letter name, but in a different octave. Okay.
So thank you all for watching this first introductory video. We hope you stick around and watch the other ones. We have a couple more coming for you.
Yep. We have a whole series on reading music, so we hope to see you back, and thank you for watching.